Welcome back to the BookCast. Today, we are unpacking every layer of the incredible novel, The Hunchback of Notre-Dame. Get ready for a deep dive into its characters, themes, and all those hidden meanings behind the story.
That's going to be great.
You've asked us to explore Victor Hugo's masterpiece. And, well, it's a narrative so profoundly rich with detail and emotion. It's honestly easy to get lost in its labyrinthine plots.
Oh, absolutely. It's dense.
So our mission today is basically to be your guides, extracting the most important insights, maybe some surprising facts, and the enduring questions this classic novel poses.
Yeah.
I want to help you cut through all that density to the core of what makes this story just so powerful.
It's a truly remarkable work. I mean, not just for the narrative power, which is immense, but for its incredibly vivid and immersive portrayal of 15th century Paris.
He really paints a picture.
He does. Hugo doesn't just describe a setting. He brings it to life. You feel like you're there, from the bustling, chaotic streets to the silent, shadowed heights of Notre Dame itself. So we'll trace the intertwined fates of its unforgettable characters, watch as their individual journeys unfold against this backdrop of a city on the cusp of, well, profound change.
Right, from the crazy fête des fous
all the way to the solemn stone of the cathedral. It's really a journey into the heart of human passion, prejudice, and profound devotion. It's got everything.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our deep dive begins on a specific, really vibrant day, January 6, 1482.
Epiphany.
Exactly. And this wasn't just any old day in Paris. It was a double holiday. They were celebrating both the Festival of Kings and the Festival of Fools.
Chaos guaranteed, basically.
Pretty much. Imagine the scene. The Grand Hall of the Palais de Justice, which Hugo describes as the largest apartment in the world at the time.
It's huge.
Absolutely overflowing with people. Hugo invites us to, feel the sheer scale of humanity, this vast sea of heads just flowing into the Palais from 5 or 6 converging streets.
It's an image of immense pulsating life, almost overwhelming in its energy. And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how Hugo immediately just plunges us right into the clamor and chaos of medieval Paris.
Yeah, no easing in.
No, none at all. Right from the opening pages. This wasn't just, any gathering. It was the entire populaire, the common people completely in motion.
Everyone was there.
Everyone. He wants us to not just read about it, but to experience that dense, vibrant atmosphere, to almost smell the crowds and hear their shouts, to feel like you're being elbowed and shoved into that immense hall.
Which, even though it was huge, felt totally packed.
Utterly packed. It's such a powerful opening because it establishes the novel's dynamic social landscape right away. You get that raw energy and also the potential volatility of the masses.
And what were all these people waiting for, crammed in there, since daybreak, apparently? Some had even slept outside.
An incredible dedication or desperation for entertainment.
Right. Just to see a theatrical performance. A mystery and morality play, supposedly custom-made for the arriving Flemish envoys.
Ah, yes, the play. Written by a struggling poet named Pierre Gringoire.
Poor Gringoire.
Who, as we quickly discover, considered it his absolute masterpiece.
He really believed in it, didn't he?
Oh, completely. Gringoire had poured his heart and soul into this production. It was an epithalamium, which is basically a bridal song.
Right, for the Dauphin and Margaret of Flanders.
Exactly. And the play featured these grand allegorical characters like nobility, clergy, labor, and merchandise, all embarking on this symbolic tour of the world.
Sounds ambitious.
Very. Gringoire was utterly convinced of its genius. He was particularly proud of his bold metaphor comparing the Dauphin to a dolphin who was the son of a lion, even though he apparently went on about it for over 200 lines.
It's okay.
But, this immediately sets up a really poignant contrast. You've got the ambitious, intellectual artist trying desperately to connect with this demanding, easily distracted, popular audience.
So it does raise an important thematic question, doesn't it? Why does Hugo spend so much time detailing this play that just fails spectacularly?
Right. It feels like more than just a funny bit.
Yeah, what's he getting at here?
That's a crucial point. Hugo isn't just, painting a historical picture. He's immediately highlighting several core themes that are going to resonate throughout the entire novel.
Okay, like what?
Well, first, it really exposes the incredibly fickle nature of the populace. Their desires just shift like the wind, right? One minute they want high art, the next they're demanding pure spectacle.
Total chaos.
And second, It's this collision of artistic ambition with popular demand and also with the indifference of power, the delay itself, caused by the Flemish envoys and Cardinal Durberm.
Who's clearly annoyed by the whole thing.
Oh, totally annoyed. He calls them rude Flemish burgomasters. His delay, their delay, it just fuels the crowd's impatience. Remember, they've been waiting for hours.
All night.
Exactly, only to be left frustrated. And this simmering impatience, this volatility among the common people, it's a foundational element of the novel's social commentary.
It's like foreshadowing, almost.
Absolutely. It foreshadows how quickly public opinion can turn, how easily grand intentions can be derailed by, mundane realities or just the whims of the powerful.
And that crowd's impatience really ramps up fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Noon strikes, the clock is the only thing on time. And the play, the envoys nowhere to be seen, the whispers turn into shouts, the mystery. The mystery.
And then you get that scholar, Jean de Moulin.
Right. He really takes the lead shouting, the mystery,
Yeah.
to the devil with the Flemings. He even suggests hanging the bailiff of the Palais.
Talk about tough critics.
Seriously. It really signals that unrest, that volatility just bubbling beneath the surface of this supposedly festive day.
Absolutely. Hugo uses this moment perfectly to show us that thin line between, festive celebration and outright rebellion.
They just want entertainment. Yeah.
Exactly. And the frustration over the delayed play isn't just about boredom. It feels like a lack of respect for their time, a disregard from the authorities.
Yeah, you can feel that.
It's a subtle but really potent seed of social discontent that Hugo masterfully plants in the very first scene. It hints at the larger uprisings and challenges to authority that will characterize medieval Paris later in the story. It sets the precedent that the common people, well, they're forced to be reckoned with, even if they are a bit disorganized.
So, amidst all this chaos, the Cardinal de Bourbon finally makes his grand entrance.
Finally.
Hugo describes him as a very worthy man who led a joyous cardinal's life, apparently quite popular in Paris.
Popular, perhaps, but maybe not universally admired for his piety.
Right. He arrives with this dazzling retinue, bishops and abbots, all in scarlet, velvet, and ermine. It's a spectacle in itself, a massive contrast to the grumbling crowd.
And he's wearing this elegant gown, which Hugo points out would surely win the favor of the women in the audience.
Priorities.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the cardinal's delayed arrival, his clear focus on political pleasantries, and, frankly, personal comfort over the art, or even the crowd's mood, it underscores the shifting priorities of the era.
It's all about power and appearances.
Pretty much. The detailed description of his luxurious life, his taste for the wine of the royal vintage of Châteauneuf, giving alms to pretty girls in preference to old women.
Charming.
It paints this vivid, almost cynical picture of the church's earthly power and, its sometimes contradictory values. He's clearly annoyed by having to entertain these scurvy échevins and Flemish beer drinkers, calling it an irksome duty for the king's bon plaisir.
Just doing his job grudgingly.
Right. And this characterization is crucial because it subtly critiques the ecclesiastical authority of the time, revealing its worldly concerns and its detachment from the common people's plight.
And then just when you think it's all about the cardinal, there's this real disruption to the established order.
Yes, this is great.
Suddenly, this man, lofty stature, large-featured and broad-shouldered, just pushes past the usher.
No ceremony.
None. This is Jacques Capenola Hosier from Ghent, part of the Flemish embassy. And he famously rejects being announced as a mere clerk to the échevin. He proudly declares himself.
Jacques Capenola Hosier.
Exactly. And then he makes that clever pun on gaunt glove. Sounds like Ghent, and the crowd loves it. Instant laughter and applause.
What's fascinating here is Capenola's immediate, almost visceral connection with the common people.
Yeah, they get him.
They totally get him. His proud declaration of his trade, that simple pun, it instantly resonates with the crowd in a way no cardinal or nobleman ever could.
He's one of them, kind of.
In spirit, yes.
Yeah.
He represents the burgeoning power of the common folk, the artisan class. He's a direct and really striking contrast to the established nobility and clergy.
A sign of things to change.
Definitely. Hugo emphasizes that no cardinal would have stirred up the people of Ghent like this Hosier could. He embodies this new kind of popular authority, one rooted in trade and the will of the people, not hereditary status or church power.
And he's totally defiant, too.
Oh, completely. He crosses his legs upon the architrave, basically puts his feet up on the fancy architecture.
Love it.
It's an act of extraordinary insolence that the oblivious dignitaries mostly miss, but it shows his utter disregard for their pomp and ceremony. This character is Hugo's way of showing us, maybe, the future of society, where the voice of the merchant and the worker starts to drown out those old aristocratic whispers.
Okay, so the play is a complete disaster. Gringoire is beside himself. His artistic dreams are just crushed.
Poor Gringoire, his masterpiece.
The crowd, having totally dismissed the play and the cardinal's arrival, now demands some real entertainment. They turn to the election of Pope of Fools,
Ah, yes. The main event, really.
a bizarre and incredibly boisterous competition to find the absolute ugliest grimace. The entire great hall just transforms into this vast furnace of effrontery and jollity. It sounds like pure, unadulterated chaos.
It really is. Hugo paints this picture of extreme human grotesquerie. He says every mouth is a cry, every eye a flash, every face a contortion, every individual a posture, everyone just howling and roaring.
Total mayhem.
Yeah. The idea of electing an ugliest face is the ultimate expression of the fête des fous, that day, for turning the world completely upside down, mocking authority, celebrating the absurd.
Anything goes.
Exactly. And Hugo details all these faces appearing at the little chapel window, pentagonal, hexagonal, and heteroclite.
Great description.
Isn't it? Each one more absurd than the last, but none quite hitting that perfect mark of sublime grotesque the crowd is so desperately craving. It's this moment of societal release where the usually repressed can momentarily become kings, even if they are ridiculous ones.
Then, after all these, bizarre warm-up acts, a miraculous ugliness appears at the window.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's Quasimodo. His sublimely monstrous grimace wins him the unanimous acclamation of the crowd. They found their pope.
This is such a pivotal moment, and Hugo describes Quasimodo in these stark, unforgettable terms: one-eyed, humpbacked, and bow-legged. He calls him a giant who had been broken in pieces and ill-soldered together.
Wow, brutal.
Incredibly brutal. And the truly heartbreaking detail is that his natural face was so grotesque, it was mistaken for a deliberate grimace.
Oh, man.
It raises this profound question, right? How does society react to such profound otherness, such visible deformity?
They make him king for a day, but it's mockery.
It is. Quasimodo's election as the Pope of Fools is this moment of perverse triumph for him. It's a fleeting embrace of the grotesque by the very society that usually shuns him, spits on him.
And it's his first feeling of self-love, Hugo says.
Yeah, imagine that. His first taste of positive attention, even though his people are this assemblage of cripples, thieves, and beggars. He's a sovereign, even if it's a mock one. And for a brief, shining moment, he revels in the acclamations of a crowd he otherwise hates, just seeking some kind of acceptance, however twisted it might be.
But this fleeting triumph is snatched away almost immediately.
Just like that.
Amidst Quasimodo's moment of glory, this man with the bald forehead, dressed as clergy, steps forward and just snatches the Pope's crozier of giltwood right out of his hands.
It's the Archdeacon Claude Frollo.
His foster father. He drags the hunchback away, and Quasimodo follows, squat, snarling, monstrous, shaggy, gathering with his limbs, licking his tusks, growling like a wild beast.
That description so visceral.
It really feels like a wild animal being tamed by its master.
And this moment is absolutely pivotal, not just for the plot, but for understanding the central dynamics of the whole novel. It immediately introduces this deeply complex, almost ownership-like relationship between Frollo and Quasimodo.
He literally owns him, in a way.
It feels like that sometimes. Frollo had adopted the little monster foundling years before. He found him abandoned at Notre-Dame.
Right, on Quasimodo Sunday.
Exactly, which is why he named him Quasimodo, meaning incomplete or as if made. He took pity on him, gave him a home in the cathedral, taught him to speak, read, and write.
Which must have been incredibly difficult.
Immensely. And he made him the bell ringer of Notre Dame. So Quasimodo's gratitude is, as Hugo says, unbounded. It's this fierce devotion to the only human who ever showed him any kindness, the only one who saw something beyond his physical horror.
Frollo is his whole world.
Pretty much. The one human Quasimodo truly trusts, attached to him even more strongly maybe than to the cathedral itself. But this relationship, it's not without its shadows, right? It reveals Frollo's complex blend of genuine charity, maybe spiritual duty, but also this controlling, almost possessive nature.
It's a twisted form of love.
Perhaps.
Yep.
Certainly from Quasimodo's perspective, it's the closest thing he knows.
So while all this high drama is unfolding, the failed play, the Pope of Fools, Frollo's intervention, what about poor Pierre Gringoire?
Still hungry, presumably.
Still hungry. His magnificent play is utterly forgotten, his poetic dream shattered. He's just wandering the streets, desperately trying to find supper. Hugo calls him a practical philosopher of the streets of Paris, but he's just constantly unlucky, always hungry.
Yeah, he's sort of the comic relief, but also deeply pathetic.
And the crowd, ever fickle, has completely moved on from the Pope of Fools. Now they're shouting a new name.
Esmeralda! Esmeralda in the place.
Exactly.
This recurring motif of Gringoire's hunger and his philosophical musings against this backdrop of dramatic, often tragic events, it really humanizes the narrative, doesn't it?
It does. Keeps it grounded.
He's always on the periphery, a witness, often a victim of these larger forces at play. He's struggling with the most basic practical realities, where's my next meal, while everyone else is swept up in passion, power, prejudice.
He's a great contrast to the big tragic figures like Quasimodo and Frollo.
Absolutely. He's a symbol of the ordinary person just trying to survive amidst these extraordinary circumstances. After all his ambition for his play, he's left musing that even Homer begged for bread and Ovid died in exile. But he still can't figure out what an Esmeralda is or why she's suddenly the center of attention.
He's the intellectual, completely unable to connect with or influence the messy, unpredictable world around him.
Perfectly put.
Okay, so who is this Esmeralda who so instantly captures everyone's attention? She shifts the focus completely from the grotesque Quasimodo to, well, pure beauty.
Yeah, the contrast is immediate and stark.
Hugo describes her dancing in the Place de Grève, that's the public square right near Notre-Dame.
Right, the main public space, often used for executions too, which is ominous.
Ooh, yeah. He describes her as slender, fragile, brisk, as a wasp in the sunshine. She has a golden corset, a party-colored skirt, bare shoulders, and these sparkling eyes.
She sounds dazzling.
Totally. And she's accompanied by her intelligent white she-goat, Jolly, with gilt horns, gilt feet, and a gilt collar. She really is this vision of beauty and vivacity, almost like a supernatural presence appearing in the grimy streets of Paris.
Her introduction is absolutely a burst of color, light, and life against the often dark, grimy backdrop of medieval Paris. She embodies this kind of untamed, natural beauty and freedom.
Which is both enchanting and dangerous.
Exactly. It's unsettling to the rigid, superstitious society around her. Her dance isn't just entertainment, it's a symbol of her spirit. And Jolly, her goat, is an extension of that.
The goat that can do tricks.
Right. Jolly's ability to tell time by tapping her hoof or spell the name Phoebus with letter blocks. Though it's just an innocent trick, it's immediately seized upon as evidence of witchcraft.
Especially by that bald man in the crowd.
Who we now know is Frollo. Already observing her, watching her with this sinister intensity, her exotic charm, rather than protecting her, immediately marks her as a target for suspicion and prejudice in this deeply fearful society.
And it doesn't take long for those accusations to fly, does it?
Not at all.
A sinister voice from the crowd. Frollo's voice cries out, "There is witchcraft in all that."
Chilling.
And then, almost immediately after, a harsh voice. From a dude corner, a woman's voice shouts, "Wilt thou be gone, thou Egyptian locust?"
Egyptian locust. That's the recluse.
Right, the recluse of the Tyrol, the one the children call the sachet. This immediate hostility, fueled by both religious suspicion and xenophobia, it just signals the grave dangers Esmeralda faces simply by being who she is.
Exactly. This immediate dual condemnation from the learned but totally twisted Archdeacon Frollo and from the grieving, prejudiced recluse, it immediately foreshadows the complex layers of danger Esmeralda faces.
She's caught between these forces.
Completely. The accusations of witchcraft, combined with that ingrained prejudice against Egyptian locusts or Romani people, instantly mark her as an outsider. In medieval society, anything perceived as different or unexplained could be branded as demonic.
And Romani people were heavily persecuted.
Absolutely. Stereotyped and persecuted. Her free spirit, her exotic appearance, they're perceived as threats to the established order. It sets her apart and makes her profoundly vulnerable to the deepest prejudices of the age. Hugo is very deliberate in showing us how quickly beauty can be demonized by ignorance and fear.
Meanwhile, back to our perpetually hungry poet, Gringoire.
Still searching for dinner.
Still searching, trying to escape the commotion, he follows Esmeralda into this inextricable labyrinth of alleys around the Holy Innocents Cemetery.
A dodgy area.
Very. He gets hopelessly lost, but then he witnesses this terrifying attack on Esmeralda by two men.
And who are they?
Turns out it's Quasimodo obeying Frollo's earlier sinister command and Frollo himself, hidden under his cloak.
Wow. Frollo's already trying to abduct her.
Seems like it. But then a voice of thunder from a horseman interrupts them. Captain Phoebus de Chateaupe.
The dashing captain arrives.
He scares off Frollo and Quasimodo and very heroically takes Esmeralda away with him.
Okay, so here's where we see the first threads of this tragic entanglement really start to weave together.
Yeah, the players are on the board.
Right. You've got Frollo's desperate, misguided, and frankly, profoundly disturbing attempt to seize Esmeralda using Quasimodo as his unwitting tool.
Which says a lot about their relationship, too.
It really does. Then you have Phoebus's seemingly heroic intervention. Looks great on the surface, right? But as we'll learn, it's ultimately pretty self-serving.
Not entirely altruistic.
Not at all. And Gringoire, once again, is the helpless witness. Observing these pivotal moments from the periphery, just a small cog caught in the wheels of these larger, more powerful, and ultimately more destructive fates. His own survival keeps getting tied to these chance encounters.
So Gringoire, still without supper, now totally disoriented, eventually stumbles into the infamous Cour des Miracles.
Ah, the Court of Miracles.
The city of the thieves. Hugo calls it a hideous wen on the face of Paris.
What a description.
He describes it as a place where robbery, prostitution, and murder enacted upon the pavements of Paris, and where famously the miracle happens, cripples shed their ailments and pretend to be whole once they're back in their sanctuary.
It's such a fantastic example of Hugo's social commentary and his genius for creating these vivid, symbolic settings.
It really stands out.
The Court of Miracles is this stark, shocking contrast to the grandeur of the Palais de Justice or the sanctity of Notre-Dame. It's a place where the marginalized, the outcast, the criminal, they create their own grotesque, inverted social order.
A world turned upside down.
Exactly. It's a powerful statement on the underbelly of medieval society. Hugo calls it a literal sink from which these vagabonds and criminals emerge each morning and return to each night. And here, the king of Tunis, Clopin Truffaut, rules.
The king of the beggars.
Right. Presiding over this lawless realm where the poor and dispossessed govern themselves, basically mocking the established laws and hierarchies of official Paris. It functions as this dark mirror, revealing society's hypocrisy by exposing the consequences of its neglect.
And Gringoire. He's immediately seized by the truants, the inhabitants.
Of course he is. Trespassing.
Accused of trespassing into their hidden city. He's brought before Clopin Truffaut, the king of Tunis, and forced to undergo this terrifying ordeal.
An initiation rite.
He has to pick a purse from a mannequin without making any of the bells attached to it jingle. Failure, Clopin tells him, means immediate hanging.
Nice welcome. This trial just highlights the brutal, arbitrary, and often kind of theatrical justice of this underworld.
It's terrifying for Gringoire.
Oh, absolutely. It's a moment of extreme vulnerability for him. All his philosophical cleverness, his artistic sensibilities, utterly useless here.
He tries to argue, right?
Yeah.
Asks, what if a breath of wind makes the bells jingle?
And Clopin's chilling reply is just, "Thou shalt be hanged." It underscores the merciless, unforgiving nature of their world. It's pure survival of the fittest, where human life holds very little value, a stark reflection of the harsh realities of poverty and marginalization.
But just as he's about to be hanged, Clopin offers this strange, last-minute reprieve. He asks if any woman will take him for a husband.
The marriage by picture tradition?
Right. But the truanduses, the women there, they refuse him. Why? Because he's too lean.
Ah, even the beggars are picky.
But then, miraculously, Esmeralda appears.
Ah, our heroine arrives.
Hugo says she exercised, even over the Arquetiers, her sway of grace and beauty. And she agrees to take him for her husband for 4 years to save his life.
Wow. What a twist of fate for Gringoire. A completely violent turn of events, as Hugo puts it, that saves him from the gallows.
And they break the pitcher.
Right. The symbolic breaking of the clay pitcher signifies their union. But it's clearly a marriage of convenience, right? Born of necessity and survival in this unforgiving world.
It shows Esmeralda's kindness, though.
It really does. Her compassionate act, even for this total stranger, demonstrates her inherent goodness and kindness, which contrasts so sharply with the harsh realities of the Court of Miracles she inhabits. Her beauty, it seems, holds sway even among these hardened Arquetiers. Hugo notes they drew up gently to let her pass by.
Grace amidst the grime.
Exactly. It's a moment where her purity and inherent grace just cut through the ugliness of her surroundings, offering this tiny glimmer of hope amidst all the despair.
So later, they're in a small, warm room, their marital chamber, I guess.
It's just...
Gringoire is hoping for, a good bed, a good fire, maybe some actual marital relations.
That's actually...
But Esmeralda's demeanor is completely distant. She immediately makes it clear this is not that kind of arrangement.
Friend-zoned immediately.
Pretty much. And she reveals her true fascinations. The word Phoebus, which Jolly can spell.
Her obsession.
And this emerald amulet she wears. She tells him it's a charm, warns him not to touch it, and says she's searching for her parents. She's carried this amulet since childhood, thinking it might help her find them someday.
This scene is absolutely vital for understanding Esmeralda beyond just her captivating exterior.
Yeah, we see inside her head a bit.
Exactly. It gives us crucial insight into her deepest motivations and desires. Her naive, almost fated love for the unknown Phoebus, a name Jolly spells out, a name Esmeralda keeps repeating to herself.
She's already in love with the name.
It seems so. And her profound longing for her lost family. It humanizes her. It shows her not just as this object of desire for everyone else, but as a young woman with her own rich and vulnerable emotional landscape.
And the amulet is key.
Totally. It connects her to her mysterious past and this vague but powerful hope of rediscovering her identity and family. That's her most profound, driving desire. It's crystal clear this isn't a marriage of love for her. It's a practical alliance, a lifeline, reflecting her ultimate isolation despite all her outward charm.
She's dreaming of something else entirely.
She's dreaming of a world beyond the court of miracles, a world of true belonging and maybe romantic love with this idealized Phoebus.
Okay, let's pivot now. Let's dive into the complex and increasingly dark character of Claude Frollo.
Ah, Frollo, one of literature's great tormented souls.
We've seen him as the Archdeacon of Joas, this stern figure who, cares for Quasimodo in his own way. But we've also seen him as that bald man in the crowd, immediately suspecting Esmeralda of witchcraft.
Two very different sides already.
So what does the novel tell us about his past? What led him down this dark, self-destructive path? From a respected scholar to a man consumed by obsession.
Well, Frollo is far from an ordinary individual. He's one of Hugo's most tragic and psychologically complex characters for sure. He came from a middle-rank family, but he was this incredible prodigy, mastered mystical, canonical, and scholastic theology by a ridiculously young age of 16.
Wow, genius.
Truly. But his life took this profound turn when his parents died in the plague, leaving him, still just a teenager really, to care for his infant brother Jahan.
That's a huge responsibility.
Massive. And Hugo says this event, Jahan being dropped from heaven into his charge, forced him to realize that man has need of affections. It initially turned him away from pure academia, tempering his intellectual fervor with, human compassion.
So he had a heart, initially.
He did, but as Jahan grew up to be dissolute, irresponsible, a constant source of worry and expense, Claude became more rigid, more melancholy. He threw himself back into science, but this time into far more forbidden and dangerous branches.
Oh, okay, so the brother thing soured him.
It seems to have contributed. His initial love for Jahan, while deep, started to warp, maybe, and his intellectual pursuits became a way to escape, or perhaps control, a world that felt increasingly chaotic and painful to him.
So his pursuit of knowledge shifted, becoming something darker.
Much darker. Frollo eventually plunged into these forbidden sciences, alchemy, astrology, necromancy maybe. He was rumored to frequent Nicholas Flamel's old, ruined house.
The famous alchemist.
The very same. Digging in its cellars, searching for the legendary philosopher's stone, he also developed this singular passion for the symbolic carvings on the main doorway of Notre-Dame itself.
Why the doorway?
He saw it as a page of conjuration written in stone. He believed the ultimate secret, the philosopher's stone or some grand truth, might be hidden either in Flamel's cellar or, quote, a mysterious point within the church.
This sounds less like science and more like a desperate quest.
That's precisely it. It's gone beyond intellectual curiosity. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Frollo's intellectual journey represents this tragic, almost Faustian fall.
Selling his soul.
Getting close. His initial pursuit of knowledge, which was external and lawful, becomes this desperate, insatiable search for ultimate truth and power through alchemy and these other illicit practices, which were considered dangerous, potentially demonic, in his era.
It's not just academic anymore.
No, it's deeply personal. It's a manifestation of his own internal emptiness. Maybe his fear of mortality and this profound desire to control what he cannot understand, fate, life, death. He thinks he can unlock the secrets of the universe, maybe even overcome fate, through these forbidden arts.
He's playing with fire.
Big time. Hugo tells us Frollo has risked his soul upon the threshold of hell, as some within the chapter apparently believed. It really shows the dangerous allure of forbidden knowledge and how it can corrupt even the most brilliant minds, turning them inward, away from humanity, toward isolation and darkness.
And this descent takes him to a specific secret place, right? Up in the cathedral.
Yes, he had a hidden cell at the very top of one of Notre Dame's towers, apparently built by a necromancer bishop centuries ago. Perfect spot for him.
Very atmospheric.
Totally. It was here he conducted his experiments, often late into the night. There was this certain red, intermittent light visible from the ground, hinting at the infernal nature of his work. This isolation, this secrecy, this literal remove from the world and even from the sacred space below, it deeply symbolizes his moral and spiritual corruption. This cell, where no one entered, not even the bishop, was his sanctuary for forbidden knowledge. A perfect metaphor for his own increasingly concealed and perverse desires.
Where his dark thoughts fester.
Exactly. It's here that the weight of his intellectual and moral choices really presses down on him. And there's that key scene when his younger brother Jihan confronts him in this very cell.
Asking for money as usual.
As usual, but Jihan also, ironically, shows he knows the Greek word da and anki written on the wall.
Which means?
Fatality, fate, destiny. And when Jihan points it out, follow pales. This one word, fatality, seems to encapsulate Frollo's entire worldview and, tragically, his own sense of a predestined downfall.
He feels trapped by fate.
Completely. It foreshadows his inability to escape his consuming desires. His intellectual curiosity has been completely replaced by this destructive obsession with an unchangeable fate he both fears and maybe courts.
His internal struggle sounds immense, like a war inside him.
It is. Hugo portrays it brilliantly. Frollo sees himself at one point as a helpless fly caught in a fatal spider's web.
Poor him.
Wow. Then, in this moment of chilling clarity, brutal self-awareness, he has this profound realization. Alas, Claude, thou art the spider. Claude, thou art the fly too.
Whoa. That's heavy.
Isn't it? It's an incredibly powerful and disturbing confession. What does that line truly reveal?
That he knows he's doing it to himself. He's building his own trap.
Exactly. It lays bare the tragic paradox of Frollo's character, his ultimate self-entrapment. His profound intellect, once dedicated to noble scholarly pursuits, has become the very instrument of his downfall, trapping him in a web of his own making.
He is the spider and the fly, the predator and the prey.
Perfectly said. He recognizes his own active role in his spiraling obsession. He knows his relentless pursuit of forbidden knowledge, and now his pursuit of Esmeralda has twisted him into something monstrous, a spider that ultimately devours itself.
He's caught in this cycle of desire and self-destruction.
And this isn't just about his personal tragedy. It speaks to Hugo's broader theme of determinism, right? How individuals, despite their intelligence or virtue, can be inexorably drawn towards their fate, often by their own choices and desires. Frollo's realization is this moment of horrific self-knowledge.
But it comes too late.
Exactly. It comes too late to change his course. He sees the trap, but he can't stop walking into it.
Okay, so while Frollo is spiraling deeper into his dark obsessions, Esmeralda's heart is completely set on Captain Phoebus de Chateaupert.
Ah, Phoebus. Bright as the sun, apparently.
We've seen him intervene heroically during that attack on Esmeralda, but
Yeah.
what kind of man is he, really? Is he the dashing hero Esmeralda imagines?
Oh, absolutely not. Phoebus is the absolute epitome of superficial charm. And Hugo crafts him deliberately as this contrast to the novel's other more complex male characters.
How does Hugo describe him?
He's one of those fine fellows whom all women agree to admire, but, and this is the key part, his physiognomy is precisely that which makes grave and discerning men shake their heads.
So, handsome but shallow.
Exactly. He's vain, a notorious womanizer, utterly self-absorbed, and, importantly, he's already betrothed to Fleur-de-Lis, a noble lady.
Right, can't forget her.
Phoebus basically embodies aristocratic indifference and casual cruelty. He's focused solely on his own pleasure, his reputation, his outward appearance, always boasting, always swearing, caring only about fleeting gratification.
He's not evil like Frollo, maybe, but...
But his profound moral emptiness and his heedless nature make him just as destructive. Perhaps even more so, in a way, because his harm comes from thoughtlessness, from carelessness, rather than active malice. He represents that charming but ultimately hollow authority that often dictates the fates of those beneath him.
And this brings us to his relationship with Fleur-de-Lis. It sounds like a typical aristocratic match, right?
Right.
Convenience, social obligation.
Pretty much textbook. He makes promises of marriage, but he's clearly more interested in fleeting pleasures, like his soon-to-be encounter with Esmeralda.
And fleur-de-lis. Is she just naive?
Well, she's beautiful, but Hugo depicts her as somewhat vain herself, easily swayed by Phoebus's charms. She's constantly seeking reassurances, like asking him to swear he's never loved anyone else before her.
Which she probably does.
Oh, I'm sure. This dynamic is crucial for Hugo's social commentary on the nobility. Phoebus's casual infidelity is almost expected within his circle. It's a minor issue, not a scandal.
Just boys being boys, 15th century style.
Kind of. And Fleur-de-Lis's position requires her to either ignore it or be naive about it, even if her little fits of pettishness hint at her underlying jealousy and insecurity. Their interactions just reveal the hollowness beneath the surface of high society.
It's all about appearances.
All about appearances, social standing, material wealth, genuine affection, fidelity, moral integrity, often secondary concerns. It's a pragmatic world of alliances and social climbing, where true love is often sidelined and fleeting passions are indulged with little consequence, for those in power anyway.
So Esmeralda, completely captivated by this guy, eventually meets with Phoebus.
The fateful encounter.
Having seen her dance, he calls her over. She blushes. She's clearly smitten. And he arranges to meet her later that evening at this tavern.
The Pomme d'Eve.
The Pomme d'Eve, Apple of Eve. Subtle Hugo.
Not at all.
It's above the quay, windows overlooking the river, and Esmeralda is just completely enchanted by his good looks, his noble bearing. She's blinded by this naive hope for genuine love, maybe a fairy tale ending.
This encounter is absolutely charged with that naive, almost tragic hope on Esmeralda's part. She truly believes Phoebus genuinely cares for her, blinded by his handsome appearance and his flirtatious words.
For her, it's a dream come true.
Totally. A chance for the kind of romantic love she's only imagined, maybe symbolized by Jolly spelling out his name, but for Phoebus...
It's just another Tuesday night.
Pretty much. It's merely another conquest, another fleeting pleasure to break the monotony of his privileged life. And that tavern setting, the Pomme d'Eve, it subtly hints at the temptation and the eventual fall that awaits. This meeting, meant to be pure bliss for Esmeralda, is tragically shattered by the dark forces converging around her.
And those dark forces are definitely converging. Frollo, consumed by jealousy, follows Phoebus, talking him. And in this really chilling twist, he even lends Phoebus money for the rendezvous.
What? That's messed up.
Right. He tracks him to the tavern, bribes the old woman running the place, La Fallordel.
Always a complicit old woman in these stories.
To let him hide in a closet right next to Esmeralda's room. He can see everything through a slit in the door. It's this terrifying descent into absolute depravity and voyeurism.
This is Frollo hitting rock bottom. His descent into pure, unadulterated villainy. His intellectual curiosity, once maybe noble, has completely morphed into destructive obsession.
He's just a creep now.
Hiding and watching, he transforms into this specter monk, a ghostly, malevolent presence driven by perverse desire. He even confronted Phoebus on the street earlier, tried to dissuade him.
A last flicker of conscience.
Maybe. Or just another attempt to control the situation, but he failed. That internal conflict that once characterized him, it's utterly gone now, subsumed by this terrifying, all-consuming jealousy and possessiveness.
His vows mean nothing.
Nothing. They're completely broken, replaced by carnal lust and this desire for control that knows no bounds. This act of hidden witness is the ultimate violation, stripping Esmeralda of her privacy and setting the stage for horrific violence.
So Frollo watches the intimate seduction of Esmeralda by Phoebus. He hears her declarations of love, sees her innocent surrender.
Which must just fuel his rage.
Completely. In a fit of uncontrollable rage and maddened jealousy, he bursts out from his hiding place, stabs Phoebus with a dagger, and then just vanishes into the night.
Leaving Esmeralda
to be discovered with the dying man.
This act of violence is the catastrophic culmination of Frollo's internal struggle. It's the tragic, inevitable consequence of his inability to reconcile his spiritual vows with his carnal desires. His love for Esmeralda has become this destructive, possessive force, transforming him from a man of God into an assassin.
And it's the ultimate betrayal for Esmeralda.
Profound betrayal. And then, in the cruelest twist of fate, she's blamed for the crime she didn't commit. This act represents the utter destruction of Frollo's moral compass. His soul is completely consumed by the very fatality he had tried so desperately to understand and control.
And the pure terror and confusion for Esmeralda in that moment.
Almost unimaginable. Her fairy tale romance just abruptly transforms into an absolute nightmare.
And indeed, the nightmare deepens very quickly. Esmeralda, found with the injured Phoebus, is immediately arrested.
No questions asked, basically.
The old woman at the tavern, La Fallardelle, testifies she saw a phantom dressed like a priest fall into the river.
Which was Frollo escaping.
Right. A truthful account, but it's ultimately dismissed or ignored. The focus shifts immediately from the mysterious assailant to Esmeralda and her supposed witchcraft. It's a far easier explanation for a superstitious public.
This just immediately highlights that deep-seated societal prejudice against gypsies, a theme Hugo hammers home again and again.
She's the easy target.
The easiest. Esmeralda, the outsider, the Romani woman with the exotic dancing goat. She's a convenient scapegoat. The old woman's story of the specter monk, while true, gets twisted or ignored to frame Esmeralda. It shows how easily fear, superstition, and ingrained bias can just override truth and rational thought within the legal and social system.
The mob mentality takes over.
Exactly. The mob, already suspicious of her foreign ways, is quick to condemn her. It sets in motion this chain of tragic events that will unravel the lives of absolutely everyone connected to her. It's a chilling depiction of how readily society sacrifices the vulnerable to uphold its own prejudices and simple narratives.
So Esmeralda's trial takes place at the Châtelet, presided over by this Maître Florian Barbedian. Given everything we've seen about medieval Paris and its justice system.
Justice in air quotes, yeah.
What kind of justice can she possibly expect?
Yeah.
Especially with such strong prejudices already working against her.
None, basically. The Châtelet court, as Hugo depicts it, is a terrifying reflection of the age's barbarity and its arbitrary nature. We actually saw its cruel mechanisms earlier, didn't we? With Quasimodo's own trial.
Oh, yeah, for kidnapping Esmeralda, which was Frollo's idea.
Exactly, adding to the bitter irony. And remember, Quasimodo, being deaf, had his condition completely ignored or misunderstood by the judge.
Who thought he was just being insolent?
Right, which led to an even harsher punishment, an extra hour on the pillory, just because the judge mistook his lack of response for disrespect. That utterly dehumanizing experience for Quasimodo clearly foreshadows Esmeralda's own impending, equally unjust, and far more tragic fate.
The system isn't about truth.
No, it's designed for upholding order, punishing perceived transgressions, and confirming existing biases. Fairness doesn't really come into it.
And Esmeralda is accused of witchcraft and the attempted murder of Captain Phoebus.
The perfect storm of accusations against her.
And her loyal goat, poor Jolly, is even brought in as evidence.
Oh, not Jolly.
Jolly performs her innocent tricks, tapping out the time, spelling Phoebus. And the court interprets all of it as undeniable proof of demonic possession.
That's just terrifying. It's a perfect illustration of the rampant witch hunts and superstitious paranoia of the era. Innocent acts, like a trained animal's tricks, are twisted into proof of sorcery, fueled by collective fear and ignorance.
Jolly becomes her undoing.
Totally. The goat, who symbolizes Esmeralda's natural innocence and free spirit, paradoxically becomes the instrument of her condemnation. And Gringoire, who's present at the trial.
He tries to explain, right?
He does. He's utterly horrified, knowing full well Jolly's tricks are just clever training. But his interjection is dismissed, unheard amidst the clamor of condemnation. The legal system, so deeply intertwined with religious superstition and a lack of scientific understanding, offers no real defense against such verdant accusations.
Reason just goes out the window.
Completely abandoned in the face of manufactured fear and prejudice.
And the trial culminates in just unspeakable cruelty. Torture.
The inevitable next step in this system.
Under torture, by this Pierrot tortor, the sworn tormentor, Esmeralda is forced to confess. She's subjected to the brodequin.
Ugh, the boot.
An iron boot designed to crush the leg.
Yeah.
A truly barbaric instrument of medieval interrogation, and in her agony she cries out.
Oh, my Phoebus.
Yeah.
This scene is incredibly difficult to read. Hugo doesn't shy away from depicting the extreme barbarity of the judicial system at all. Her forced confession, extracted through unimaginable pain, completely breaks her spirit. It serves only to condemn her despite her absolute innocence.
That's just terrific.
It's a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty, especially against the vulnerable and those deemed other. And her desperate cry for Phoebus, though it's an expression of pain, maybe a plea for rescue, It's tragically misinterpreted by the court as a confession of her love for the man she supposedly attacked.
Oh, that's brutal irony.
Isn't it? That final twist of irony, her innocent heartbreak sealing her fate, makes the scene even more poignant and devastating. It just underscores the profound injustice she faces, where every single action and word is twisted against her.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly. Let's go back to the recluse of the Tour Roland. The woman who cursed Esmeralda earlier called her an Egyptian locust.
Sister Goudelet, or the Sachet.
Right. She lives walled up in this cell called the Trois, the rat hole near the Grève, just watching the world through a window. Her presence has been menacing, but there's this deep personal tragedy behind her hatred, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. This character represents another profound form of human suffering, and it demonstrates Hugo's masterful use of irony and tragic parallels. Sister Goudelet is isolated, yes, partly by self-imposed penance, but primarily by this deep, all-consuming grief that has just twisted her entire existence.
What happened to her?
Well, earlier in the book, this provincial woman named Mahiette tells the heartbreaking story of Paquette Le Champfleury. She was a beautiful young woman whose infant child, Agnes, was stolen by gypsies 15 years prior.
And the recluse is Paquette.
Exactly. The recluse, in her squalid cell, keeps this single, precious relic, a tiny, rose-colored satin shoe embroidered with gold and silver spangles, is all that remains of her lost daughter, Agnes.
Just the shoe.
Just the shoe. And she truly, genuinely believes her daughter was devoured by gypsies. Eaten on the wild heath, her blood drunk, her bones gnawed. These are the horrific images in her mind.
That's why she hates them so much.
It completely dehumanizes all Romani people in her mind, fueling this intense, almost deranged hatred. The cell itself, this dark, damp, dismal cavity where she endures the cold, refuses even warmth, asks only for black bread and water. It symbolizes her self-imprisonment in grief and vengeance.
So the recluse's virulent hatred for gypsies is born from this unimaginable grief, intensified by 15 years of solitary suffering and this terrifying misinterpretation of what happened to her child.
Right.
She sees Esmeralda simply as one of them, a living symbol of her loss, utterly unaware of the truly devastating tragic connection that actually binds them.
And this sets up one of the most heartbreaking and powerful revelations in the entire novel. The recluse's 15 years torture, as she calls it, fueled by this singular obsession and a lifetime of self-imposed penance. It's about to collide with Esmeralda's fate in a moment of just unbearable irony.
It makes you think, doesn't it? How grief can twist love into hatred.
Absolutely. How profound grief, especially when combined with societal prejudice, can twist even the deepest maternal love into a murderous hatred. And how easily mistaken identity, based on fear and ingrained bias, can lead to unspeakable tragedy. Hugo is preparing us for a moment of recognition that will be both deeply moving and utterly devastating, highlighting the cruelest twists of fate imaginable.
Okay, so Esmeralda is condemned, sentenced to be hanged. She's being led to the gallows for her public penance at Notre-Dame, this final humiliating spectacle.
The lowest point.
But just as she's about to face her fate, this figure swoops down from the majestic cathedral itself, snatches her with incredible speed, and cries out,
"Sanctuary!"
It's Quasimodo. He moves like a cat, apparently felling her guards to the ground. This is truly a heroic, almost miraculous intervention, isn't it?
It really is. It's a moment of pure, almost animalistic devotion and heroism. One of the most iconic scenes in all of literature, surely.
Absolutely.
Quasimodo, witnessing her public humiliation, remembering that single act of kindness, she showed him giving him water at the pillory when he was suffering.
The only kindness he'd ever known. Maybe.
Quite possibly. He acts on raw instinct, driven by his profound, if unspoken, love and gratitude. And Notre-Dame, with its long and sacred tradition of sanctuary, becomes her temporary refuge.
An island.
Exactly. Hugo calls it an island rising above the level of human justice, a haven from the mob and the cruel legal system. Quasimodo literally makes the grand doors of the cathedral close against the executioner, asserting the church's ancient right to protect those seeking refuge within its walls. It's such a powerful statement about the cathedral as this moral and physical fortress against societal injustice.
So within the sacred walls of the cathedral, Quasimodo becomes Esmeralda's fierce, unwavering protector.
Her guardian gargoyle.
Huh? He brings her food, makes her a little bed of straw, guards her relentlessly from everyone, including Frollo.
Especially Frollo.
He's constantly watching over her, experiencing this strange mix of profound devotion and also a nascent, painful jealousy.
Yeah, it's complicated for him. He even observes Phoebus walking below with fleur-de-lis from the tower. That scene makes him redden with shame, fills his nights with tormenting images of Esmeralda, making him realize the utter impossibility of his own love for her.
Heartbreaking.
Quasimodo, deaf and isolated, finds his ultimate purpose, his reason for being, in protecting Esmeralda. His profound physical deformity is contrasted so powerfully with the purity and selflessness of his devotion.
It's a love without expectation.
Totally, born of gratitude and awe. Meanwhile, Frollo's madness just intensifies. He cannot possess Esmeralda, so his obsession morphs into this desperate desire to destroy her. He sees her as his perdition, a demon's snare sent to tempt and ruin him.
He blames her for his own feelings.
Completely. His internal struggle has just devolved into this desperate, destructive obsession. He repeatedly attempts to penetrate her sanctuary, believing that if he can't have her, no one can. He even tries to get her officially prohibited, the Parvis Notre-Dame, banned from the square outside, in this futile, almost delusional attempt to rid me of the charm.
As if that would work.
Right. The cathedral becomes this battleground for these two opposing forces. Quasimodo's pure love and Frollo's destructive obsession.
And then things get even more chaotic. The people from the Cour des Miracles.
The Truans, led by Clopin Troifaux.
They see Quasimodo's protection as captivity. They think he's holding her prisoner.
Oh, the tragic misunderstanding.
So they decide to rescue Esmeralda from Notre-Dame. They march on the cathedral, this long procession of men descending in darkness and silence, armed with hammers, crowbars, everything. Their rallying cry is to save their sister, Esmeralda.
This mob action, while, ostensibly driven by a desire to help Esmeralda, is so tragically misguided and chaotic.
And are they really just trying to help her?
Well, it's also likely motivated by the rumors of cartloads of gold hidden in the cathedral sacristy. So maybe a mix of motives.
Plunder and rescue.
Right. It highlights the volatile nature of popular uprisings and their often unintended consequences. They mistake Quasimodo's pure protection for her captivity, adding yet another layer of tragic irony to the story. It's this desperate, disorganized attempt at justice that ultimately harms the very person they claim to want to save.
It shows the danger of mob mentality.
Absolutely. And how easily good intentions can be corrupted by self-interest or just plain misinformation.
At the same time, news of this revolt reaches King Louis XI.
Who's chilling it at the Bastille?
A distrustful, famously pragmatic monarch. And his concern isn't for Esmeralda's safety or justice.
Or of course not.
It's for his own authority and the sanctity of Our Lady as a royal protection. He's worried about the disrespect to the church and, by extension, to him.
This offers such a sharp, cynical glimpse into the world of state power. Louis XI's focus is entirely on maintaining control, punishing sedition, not on justice for Esmeralda or understanding the plight of the common people.
He sees it as a personal insult.
Totally. He's this cunning, parsimonious king who sees the uprising as a personal affront to his authority, a disruption to his carefully managed kingdom, rather than a cry for justice or an expression of popular discontent. His interaction with Gringoire, remember?
Oh yeah, Gringoire gets caught up with the cat.
Briefly, the king orders him to be drubbed, beaten, but then releases him. It just shows his arbitrary exercise of power, a stark contrast to the fervent but disorganized actions of the mob. He embodies the detached, calculating nature of the monarchy, valuing order and his own image above all else.
So back at the cathedral, Quasimodo is alone against this entire mob.
One hunchback against hundreds of thieves.
He mounts this desperate, truly heroic defense of Notre-Dame. He's hurling stones, dropping long beams like a monstrous animal.
Using the cathedral itself as a weapon.
And then, in that truly terrifying scene, he pours molten lead from the cathedral's gutters onto the attacking crowd below.
Creating two black and reeking hollows. Just devastating.
He is a one-man army defending his sanctuary and the woman he loves, his only source of light.
This is Quasimodo's most defining, heroic, and ultimately tragic moment. The cathedral becomes an extension of himself, his body a fortress. His defense is both fierce and heartbreaking.
He's fighting for the only thing he cares about.
Exactly. Not just the building that's been his home, but for the one person he cares about in the world, the unfortunate refugee inside. But sadly, and with devastating irony, his own brother gets caught in the chaos.
John, Frollo's brother.
Yeah, Johann Frollo. He had joined the Tureans in the assault looking for adventure or maybe just trouble, and he's among those killed during this desperate defense.
Killed by Quasimodo.
Struck down by Quasimodo's own hand, though Quasimodo doesn't know it at the time. This act of unwitting fratricide just adds yet another unbearable layer of sorrow to Quasimodo's already tragic life. It seals his fate as an instrument of destruction, even when he's trying to protect.
Oh, man. He's just doomed.
He really is, a creature of pure, instinctual love and loyalty, fighting against a world that has always, always rejected him.
Okay, so despite Quasimodo's valiant, almost superhuman defense, the king's army eventually arrives. They overwhelm the Truants. But in the chaos, Esmeralda is snatched away from Notre-Dame.
Just when she thought she was safe.
But who takes her? And why? Where is she taken?
In a final, desperate act of sheer possessiveness, it is Frollo himself who takes her.
Frollo again?
With Gringoire's unwitting help, apparently Gringoire helps him find a boat, not knowing the full plan. Frollo smuggles her out of the cathedral and takes her to the Place de Grève,
The execution square.
the very place of her public penance and pending execution. For Frollo, this is his last twisted attempt to force her to choose him. He tells her he wants to dispose of thy life, thou, of my soul.
He thinks he saved her.
He sees this as his ultimate chance for this perverted union. He believes he has saved her from the mob, and now he demands her as his prize. He's utterly convinced of the righteousness of his depraved love. He's completely deluded himself into believing he is her only salvation.
So on the Grève, Frollo corners Esmeralda. He confesses his twisted love, his obsession, declaring, I am determined to possess thee.
No more hiding it.
He brutally threatens her with the gibbet right there, unless she chooses him. But Esmeralda, she's unwavering even in her terror. She courageously calls him an assassin for killing Phoebus.
She throws it right back in his face. Good for her.
Her words are like a sharp dagger, just cutting through his warped justifications and illusions.
And this is the agonizing, tragic climax of Frollo's arc. His love, if you can even call it that, once maybe a noble intellectual pursuit, has completely devolved into this monstrous possessive force, a total perversion of any true affection.
So when Esmeralda unequivocally rejects him,
Choosing death, choosing the gallows over him, he is utterly consumed by rage and this desire for revenge. His desire, once intellectual, then carnal, now turns purely destructive.
they can't handle rejection.
Not at all. Her unwavering defiance, even in the face of imminent death, utterly shatters his last vestiges of control and sanity. He cannot bear to be denied, and in his rage, he will ensure no one else can have her either. He sets in motion the final, cruelest act.
Which is,
In a final act of unspeakable cruelty and vengeance, Frollo reveals Esmeralda's hiding place. She's temporarily hidden near the recluse's cell to the recluse, Sister Gudule. He calls out with this chilling triumph, Gudule, here is the gypsy woman. Revenge thyself.
oh no, he knows about the recluse's hatred.
He must. And this is the devastating moment of recognition. The truly cruelest, most heart-wrenching twist of fate, engineered entirely by Frollo's malice. The recluse, Sister Gudule. She finally realizes Esmeralda is her lost daughter, Agnes. She sees the little rose-colored satin shoe on Esmeralda's foot, the matching shoe to the one she has guarded and grieved over for 15 agonizing years.
Oh my God, mother and daughter.
Tragically reunited, but only for a brief, desperate moment, overshadowed by impending doom. The recluse fights fiercely like a fury of a tigress to protect her newfound daughter from the approaching soldiers.
But it's too late.
It's too late. The forces of justice, the king's men, break through the wall of her cell. They tear mother and daughter apart. It's just an agonizing depiction of how prejudice and mistaken identity can lead to the most profound and irreparable loss imaginable.
So Henriette Cousin, the executioner, he carries a fainting Esmeralda away from her mother's desperate grasp.
Her mother dies trying to protect her, basically crushed in the struggle.
She's taken to the gallows and executed. And her last words,
Tragically, she calls out Phoebus
still thinking of him.
in her last moments. A final, poignant expression of her naive, unwavering, and ultimately misplaced love. This is undeniably the novel's most poignant tragedy. The brutal public consequence of prejudice, obsession, and the indifference of power.
Her last word, Phoebus.
Spoken not in anger or fear, but in this final, deluded hope for love. It just underscores the depth of her innocence and vulnerability right to the very end. It's a heart-wrenching moment that epitomizes the profound injustice she suffers. Hugo even notes, as this small, fleeting glimpse of humanity amidst the horror, that the executioner himself had tears falling from his eyes.
Even he felt it.
It's a moment designed to shock and grieve the reader, forcing us to confront the true cost of societal cruelty and individual failing.
And Quasimodo, where is he during this?
Watching.
Wow.
From the towers of Notre-Dame, Quasimodo watches as the woman he loves, his only light in the world, is hanged below on the greve.
He sees everything.
He sees everything. He turns from this horrific scene, finds Frollo also watching from the parapet, maybe even laughing. And in an act of ultimate vengeance and despair, Quasimodo pushes Claude Frollo off,
Sends him plummeting to his death.
down onto the square below. Quasimodo's act is one of ultimate vengeance, yes, but also profound despair. His two great loves, Frollo, his foster father, the only one who ever showed him kindness, and Esmeralda, his innocent love, have utterly destroyed each other.
He has nothing left.
Nothing. With both gone, his purpose in life is extinguished. He then disappears from Notre-Dame, never seen again. A silent, solitary figure just vanishing from a world that never understood him. His departure marks the end of an era, really, leaving the great cathedral without its heart, its living soul, its bell ringer.
What actually became of Quasimodo? Does Hugo tell us?
He does, in a final, haunting image. Years later, in the grim vault of Montfaucon, that's the charnel house where the bodies of the executed are taken.
Grim place.
Very. Two skeletons are found embracing. One is clearly a woman, petite. The other is a man with a crooked spine, his arms wrapped protectively around the woman's body.
It's them, Quasimodo and Esmeralda.
Unmistakably. This haunting final image is Hugo's silent yet incredibly powerful commentary on the enduring nature of love, even in its most tragic forms. It suggests that in death, the outcast and the victim finally find a peace and a connection that was brutally denied them in life.
Together at last.
Their intertwined skeletons speak volumes about the destructive forces that shaped their lives, but also about the profound, unbreakable bond that transcended all earthly cruelty. It's this moment of Gothic poetry, finding beauty and unity in death, where life offered only separation and pain. It leaves you with such an indelible sense of the novel's profound emotional core.
Wow. Okay, so what became of the other key characters, the survivors caught in this tragic web?
Right, the loose ends.
Pierre Gringoire, ever the survivor.
Always lands on his feet somehow.
He successfully saves Jolly, the goat.
Hooray for Jolly.
And, remarkably, goes on to become a successful playwright. Seems like he adapts and thrives.
He finds his niche finally.
And Captain Phoebus de Chateauper, the shallow aristocrat.
Our hero.
Surprisingly, Hugo says he came to a tragical end. He married.
Huh. The ultimate tragic end for a guy like Phoebus. Hugo's biting sarcasm there is just perfect.
It really is.
The stark contrast in their fates is incredibly telling, isn't it? And deeply ironic. Phoebus, the shallow, self-centered character, the embodiment of aristocratic indifference, achieves a conventional happy-ending marriage, which Hugo skewers as a tragical end for such a man, hinting at the true hollowness of his existence.
While the good ones suffer.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the truly noble, loving, and innocent characters, Esmeralda, Quasimodo, the recluse, they suffer the ultimate sacrifice. And Gringoire's survival through adaptability, his eventual success as a playwright. Hugo even notes he wrote a paper against the Bishop of Paris for getting drenched by his mill wheels. It further highlights the harsh realities of their world.
The pragmatic survive.
It seems so. Those who bend with the winds of fortune often endure, while the pure-hearted and uncompromising perish. Gringoire's love, Hugo notes, shifted from an idea to the love of the substance, reflecting his grounded, maybe cynical approach to life. It's a realistic, if maybe pessimistic observation about who survives and thrives in a cruel world.
So what does this all mean for us reading this centuries later? This deep dive into the Hunchback of Notre-Dame. It reveals this timeless narrative, doesn't it? Beauty and the Beast, love and obsession, justice and injustice.
Absolutely. It holds up so well.
It feels like a powerful, really haunting reminder of how society judges and sometimes destroys those who are different. And how even the darkest corners of human experience, profound devotion and unconditional love can still exist.
It absolutely forces us to examine the nature of humanity, doesn't it? The tragic consequences when fear and rigid social structures just crush innocence and beauty. Hugo's message still resonates so strongly centuries later. It challenges us to look beyond superficial appearances, to question the justice meted out by society, to confront our own biases. It leaves you pondering the enduring power of these characters. Quasimodo, Esmeralda, Frollo, the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of insurmountable odds.
And the stark reality that sometimes love, in its purest form, can only find peace in death.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, How many other Esmeraldas have been condemned by ignorance and hatred throughout history? It's a question that stays with you long after you finish the book.
It really does. It makes you ask, what truly defines a monster? And who are the real villains in a world driven by prejudice, passion, and the crushing weight of fate? And there you have it. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us and this story. If you enjoyed it, a simple like or subscribe helps the BookCast out more than you know. Be good and take care.